Good afternoon and welcome to IBA News this Monday, the 21st of November. I'm Elon Aslan-Levy and we're live from Jerusalem. The Attorney General and State Prosecutor have decided not to launch a criminal investigation into the affair surrounding Israel's purchase of 3 submarines from Germany. However, they are still examining whether the Prime Minister may have acted in a conflict of interest against a conflict of interest agreement he signed upon taking office. Ari O'Sullivan has more.
The police will not launch a criminal investigation into the process of purchasing 3 Dolphin-class submarines for $1.5 billion. This after Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit and State Prosecutor Shai Nitzan, along with other top officials, decided that the evidence did not point to suspicion of criminal activity. The scandal surrounds the fact that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's personal attorney, David Shimron, was also acting for the German shipyard behind the deal. Netanyahu has also denied that he had any knowledge that Shimron, who was also his cousin, was involved in the submarine deal. Shimron last night revealed that he took a private polygraph test, which, he said, confirmed that he did not discuss his involvement in the submarine deal with the Prime Minister or his representation of Mickey Ganor, the Israeli agent of the German submarine maker ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems. Shimron reportedly formulated the questions himself. According to Shimron's office, the firm did not receive, nor was it slated to receive, any commission or fee from the deal because it did not represent the German firm in transactions with any Israeli government authority. Speaking to Army Radio, Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked stated that the Prime Minister approved the purchase out of practical interests and said that the question of a possible non-compliance with conflict of interest agreements was being examined. The affair revealed some of the disagreements on Israel's strategic moves, with former Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon saying he opposed the deal. Shali Yachimovich of the Zionist Union called for Netanyahu to distance himself from Shimron, his cousin and personal lawyer for decades. Even if Shimron's firm did not receive a commission, its ties with the Prime Minister grants them free prestige. Shimron's partner, attorney Itzik Molcho, often serves as Netanyahu's personal emissary on sensitive diplomatic missions. Netanyahu has repeatedly said that the only consideration that guided him was Israel's security. Ari O'Sullivan for IBA News.
At a Yesh Atid faction meeting today, former Finance Minister Yair Lapid insisted it was no coincidence that the German firm had hired the Prime Minister's personal attorney to advance a major defense purchase, demanding answers in the face of what he warned was an attempt over recent days to make the affair disappear. The Jerusalem District Court today sentenced Subhi Abu Khalifa, a resident of Shuafat, to 18 years in prison for his role in the terror attack at the light rail station in Jerusalem's French Hill neighborhood in October of last year. The 21-year-old terrorist was convicted of attempted murder after stabbing a civilian, injuring him and then trying to grab a gun from a nearby security guard in order to commit additional attacks on bystanders. Abu Khalifa was arrested shortly after he fled the scene. The court also ordered him to pay 150,000 shekels in compensation to the victim he stabbed, as well as 30,000 shekels to the security guard whom he attacked. A further sentence of 18 years in prison was also handed down today to 20-year-old Mahmoud Abed Dawayat for the murder of Alexander Levlovich on the eve of Rosh Hashanah last year. Dawayat, one of the 5 suspects in the case, confessed to throwing rocks at Levlovich's vehicle, which caused him to lose control before his death. The sentence was approved as part of a plea bargain, which was agreed despite the opposition of the Levlovich family. Last month, a Palestinian miner involved in the attack was given 9 years in prison, also as part of a plea bargain. The murder of Alexander Levlovich is widely seen as the starting gun for the wave of violence which began last year. In other developments, IDF forces arrested 9 wanted Palestinians overnight in the West Bank. Troops also confiscated a large weapons cache. Among the detainees were 2 Hamas members and 3 members of Islamic Jihad. 4 of the suspects arrested were wanted for targeting Israeli civilians and security forces in past terror attacks and riots. Separately, the IDF, Border Police and Shin Bet conducted 2 other raids in the Jenin area. During the joint operation, security officials uncovered a weapons factory where dozens of guns and gun parts were seized. Forces also shut down a makeshift office used for funding and inciting terror attacks. Thousands of shekels, as well as a computer and other documents, were confiscated. An IDF officer in the Armoured Corps has been removed from his position after it transpired that he fled the scene of last month's shooting attack near Ammunition Hill in Jerusalem, in which 2 Israelis were murdered. The officer was armed at the time. His division commander said his conduct did not reflect the core operational and moral principles expected of an IDF combat soldier. The incident is believed to be the first case since the start of last year's terror wave in which punitive measures were taken against a soldier for failure to engage terrorists during an attack. Turning now to the ongoing labour dispute between the management of Israel's national airline carrier El Al and its pilots. El Al announced that it may have to cancel tonight's midnight flights 001 and 027 to New York due to continued sanctions by the company's pilots. The company is at this hour still seeking an agreement to avoid the cancellation. This evening, Histadrut chairman Avi Nissenkorn is scheduled to meet with representatives from both management and employees in an attempt to reach a solution to save the airline from its current crisis. Meanwhile, hundreds of El Al workers, including pilots, demonstrated outside the management offices at Ben Gurion Airport this morning. Employees are demanding better working conditions and demand management back off plans for large layoffs at the end of the year. Speaking in New Delhi today, President Rivlin said that India backs Israeli policy on Iran more than most other countries. These remarks followed another meeting with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who expressed his support for the Jewish state. Modi told Rivlin that despite his country's alliance with Iran, India does not overlook its aggression towards Israel and will stand with Israel in extreme situations. President Rivlin is currently wrapping up his 8-day visit to India, marking 25 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Accompanied by a large business delegation, he has attended a major agricultural expo, where he also paid a visit to the Turkish booth. Rivlin stressed that together, India and Israel can make magic in the field of food security. Building a nation, he said, means producing food for all now and for generations to come, adding that food security is not only about survival, but freedom. A former general has claimed that a proposal to integrate women into tank brigades is part of a conspiracy by far-left groups to harm the IDF. Speaking on the radio, retired general and current Israel Electricity Corporation director Iftach Rontal also attacked the proponents of the scheme as freaks. Last week, it emerged that the army is reconsidering allowing women to serve as fighters in the Armoured Corps 18 months after ruling it out. Kulanu MK Rachel Azaria, who sits on the Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defence Committee, has called on the army to start making the necessary practical and logistical changes to further integrate women into combat roles. Women presently account for 5% of Israel's frontline troops, but the army hopes to increase female combat participation to help replace manpower lost in the reduction of mandatory service time for men. After swastikas appeared in Brooklyn's Adam Yauch Park alongside the graffitied slogan "Go Trump," at least 300 people, including Beastie Boys singer Adam Horovitz, protested against what they said were hate crimes inspired by Trump's election. This was the 13th graffitied swastika in New York reported since Election Day, and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has announced he is creating a special state police unit to deal with such crimes. At the same time, incoming White House chief strategist Steve Bannon failed to show up as publicized at a gala dinner of the Zionist Organization of America, which endorsed the controversial appointment of former Breitbart news chief. Outside, hundreds of protesters from far-left Jewish groups If Not Now and Jewish Voice for Peace demanded that Bannon's appointment be rescinded. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy announced his retirement from political life last night following the failure of his planned comeback in the Républicain presidential primary. François Fillon, who served as Prime Minister under Sarkozy from 2007 to 2012, finished first in the first round of voting for the right-wing party with 44%. He will now progress to a runoff on the 27th of November against runner-up Alain Juppé, also a former Prime Minister. The French presidential elections will take place in April next year. Far-right leader Marine Le Pen is considered to have a good chance of making the runoff and possibly even entering the Élysée palace. Last night, Sarkozy formally endorsed Fillon and said it was time for him to begin a life with more personal passion and less public passion, wishing good luck to France. Several hundred new immigrants from Brazil are set to arrive in Israel this year, a 45-year high for Brazilian Aliyah. According to the Jewish agency, 650 new Olim from the South American nation have already arrived, with 50 more to join by the year's end. That's a 21% increase on last year's immigration from Brazil. The country's Aliyah rates are among the highest in the world as a proportion of the local Jewish population, with 0.6% of Brazil's 120,000 Jews moving this year alone. The spike is believed to be rooted in the Brazilian Jewish community's strong ties to Israel and prompted by the economic crisis presently gripping Brazil. Israeli entrepreneur Eli Fruchter has been gaining viral attention on the internet for a 37,000-litre home reef aquarium installed in the living room of his Haifa home. The aquarium includes over 150 fish of 30 different species, swimming through artificial waves produced by alternating currents of the massive filtration system, which is located on a separate floor in the house and filters 100,000 litres of water an hour. The former CEO of Ethernet technology firm EasyChip, which was sold earlier this year for $800 million, designed the system himself and personally replenishes a third of the tank's volume every week with fresh seawater he connects from the Mediterranean with a special golf cart. To date, Fruchter's video has received over 260,000 views on YouTube. Better luck next year. In finance, the shekel is mixed and the stock exchange is up. In weather, tomorrow will remain mostly cloudy with a drop on today's unseasonal temperatures. Expect strong easterly winds in the north and mountains, and take an umbrella. There'll be isolated showers with a chance of thunderstorms towards night and a risk of flash floods. And that's all for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with the latest. If you'd like to catch up with IBA news, you can watch us online or on the Channel 1 app, available now on the App Store. Have a good evening, live from Jerusalem.